In his first 18 months in office, President Obama has dedicated himself to these goals, not just with words, but with action. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and my privilege on this, the occasion of the centennial of the National Urban League and the Urban League movement, to welcome the President of the United States.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody, please have a seat. Have a seat. Take a load off. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, please have a seat. Good morning, Urban Leaguers. Well, it is wonderful to be here with all of you. It is wonderful to be here, and let me begin by congratulating Mark Morial for his outstanding leadership, his great friendship. I want to thank the entire National Urban League on your centennial. From your founding, amid the Great Migration, to the struggles of the Civil Rights Movement, to the battles of today, the Urban League has been on the ground in our communities, working quietly day in, day out, without fanfare, opening up opportunity, rolling back inequality, making our union just a little more perfect. So America's a better place because of the Urban League, and I'm grateful to all of you for the outstanding contributions that you've made. Now, the last time I spoke with you was during your Orlando conference in August. Got Orlando in the house. Orlando conference back in August of 2008. I didn't have any gray hair back then. So that's all right? Yeah. But I want to remind you what things were like in August of 2008. Our economy was in free fall. We had just seen 7 straight months of job loss. Foreclosures were sweeping the nation. And we were on the verge of a financial crisis that threatened to plunge our economy into a second Great Depression. So from the moment I took office, we had to act immediately to prevent an even greater catastrophe. And I knew that not everything we did would be popular. Sometimes when we do things, the scribes, the pundits here in Washington, they act surprised. They say, "Why would you do such a thing? It doesn't poll well." And I have to explain to them, I've got my own pollsters. But I wasn't elected just to do what's popular. I was elected to do what was right. That's what you supported me for. And because of what we did, America as a whole is in a different place today. Our economy is growing instead of shrinking. Our private sector has been adding jobs for 6 straight months instead of losing them. Yesterday, a report was put out by 2 prominent economists, one of them John McCain's old economist, that said if we hadn't taken the actions that we took, we would have had an additional 8 million people lose their jobs. Now, that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods yet. Every sector of our economy was shaken by the crisis. Every demographic group felt its impact. And as has been true in the wake of other recent recessions, this one had an especially brutal impact on minority communities. Communities that were already struggling long before the financial crisis hit. The African American unemployment rate was already much higher. The incomes and wealth of African American families already lower. There was less of a cushion. Many minority communities, whether in big cities or rural towns, had seen businesses and opportunities vanish for years. Stores boarded up. Young people hanging out on the street corners without prospects for the future. So when we came into office, we focused not just on rescuing our economy in the short run, but rebuilding our economy for the long run. Creating an economy that lifts up all Americans. Not just some, but all. That's why we passed health insurance reform that will give every American more choices, more control over their health care, will narrow the cruel disparities between Americans of different backgrounds. That's why we passed Wall Street reform, not only to make sure the taxpayers aren't paying for somebody else's foolishness, but also to protect consumers from predatory credit cards and lending practices, regulating everything from mortgages to payday loans, making sure that we're protecting our economy from the recklessness and irresponsibility of a few. Across agencies, we're taking on the structural inequalities that have held so many of our fellow citizens back, whether it's making more housing available and more affordable, making sure civil rights and anti-discrimination laws are enforced, making sure our crime policy is not only tough, but also smart. So yesterday we took an important step forward when Congress passed a fair sentencing bill that I look forward to signing into law, a bipartisan bill to help right a long-standing wrong by narrowing sentencing disparities between those convicted of crack cocaine and powder cocaine. It's the right thing to do. We've gotten that done. So we've made progress. And yet, for all of our progress that's come through the efforts of groups like the Urban League, progress that makes it possible for me to stand here as president, we were reminded this past week that we've still got work to do when it comes to promoting the values of fairness and equality and mutual understanding that must bind us together as a nation. Now, last week I had the chance to talk to Shirley Sherrod, an exemplary woman whose experiences mark both the challenges we have faced and the progress that we've made. She deserves better than what happened last week. When a bogus controversy based on selective and deceiving excerpts of a speech led to her forced resignation. Now, many are to blame for the reaction and overreaction